He hired a nanny for his sick son, but when he checked the cameras late at night, what he saw changed everything he believed about his past, his family, and the woman he thought had abandoned them. What was she hiding, and why was the nanny the key to it all? Watch till the end to uncover the heartbreaking truth. Before we begin this powerful story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon, so you never miss our life-changing narratives. Like and share this channel to spread the message, because here at Twisting Tales, every story carries a meaningful moral, a spark of hope, and a reminder that every struggle can lead to strength. Let's grow, learn, and be inspired together. Billionaire hires a nanny for his sick son, installs cameras and discovers something shocking. I was born into nothing. No silver spoons. No last name that opened doors. Just a quiet boy raised by a mother with tired eyes and trembling hands. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, just to keep me breathing. She never complained. Not when her shoes had holes. Not when dinner was a half slice of bread. I watched her fade year after year. Until I swore to myself, one day, I will give my child everything I never had. And I did. I climbed. Through pain. Through betrayal. Through nights that never seemed to end. I built companies. I lost friends. I gained enemies. But I made it. By 39, I was a billionaire. Jets, glass towers, champagne handshakes. But none of that mattered. Because my son Adam was sick. Very sick. Born prematurely. Underdeveloped lungs. Chronic immune issues. I could buy countries. But not the one thing I truly wanted. His health. His mother left us before his first birthday. Said she could not handle the hospitals, the machines, the constant fear. I did not beg her to stay. Adam was all I had. And I was all he had. But he needed more than boardrooms and doctors. He needed care. He needed warmth. He needed a mother. So, I hired a nanny. Not just any nanny. I wanted someone gentle, someone wise. Someone who would not break like the rest. That is when she came. Her name was Eliza. Mid-30s. Soft-spoken. No flashy degrees. No polished resume. Just calm eyes, and a presence that made the walls feel less cold. Adam smiled the day he met her. He almost never smiled. That should have told me everything. But I was a businessman. Suspicion ran in my blood. I had seen too many people fake kindness for a paycheck. So, I did what I always do. I installed cameras. Not in secret. I told her up front. For safety. For transparency. She only nodded. I understand, she said. You are just protecting what you love. Days turned into weeks. And I watched. Not just through the cameras. But through the change in my son. He began to hum. He giggled. He slept peacefully. She read to him with her whole soul. She cooked food he could finally eat. She sat by his bedside when I was away. And still, I watched the cameras. Because part of me could not believe it was real. Then one night, I came home early. Later than dinner, earlier than usual. The cameras were still recording. But I walked in. Quietly. And I heard something. Soft. Like a whisper wrapped in pain. I followed the sound. It came from Adam's room. The door was slightly open. I saw Eliza kneeling beside his bed. Her hand rested on his tiny chest. Her eyes closed. She was not praying. She was confessing. I know you do not understand, sweetheart, she whispered. But I promised your mother I would protect you. Even if I had to do it from the shadows. My breath caught. What did she just say? She promised who? She pulled out a small locket from her sweater. Kissed it. And placed it under his pillow. That was when I stepped in. She turned. Her face pale. But she did not flinch. What did you mean? I asked. About his mother? Eliza stood up slowly. She looked at me as if she had been waiting for this moment. Because I knew her, she said. Her voice did not tremble. I knew her long before you did. And I know why she really left. My heart pounded. The room felt too small. Too full of questions. What are you talking about? I demanded. She told me. Eliza shook her head. She lied. To protect you. To protect him. But it is time you knew everything. She reached into her bag. Pulled out an envelope. Worn. Sealed. My name written in handwriting I had not seen in nearly 6 years. My ex-wife's handwriting. I took it. Hands cold. Mind racing. Eliza watched me. Not with fear.
Not with guilt, but with compassion.
She asked me to be near him, in case anything ever happened to her. She said, he would need a woman with a mother's heart, even if it was not hers anymore. I tore the envelope open. Inside was a letter.
And a photograph.
But before I could read it, Adam stirred in his bed.
A tiny cough. A soft cry.
Eliza rushed to him,
Touched his forehead.
whispered a lullaby I had never heard.
He calmed.
Eyes fluttered.
Back to sleep.
I stood there.
Not a billionaire. Not a CEO.
Just a father, holding a ghost of the past in his hands. While the woman I barely knew stood like a shield between my son and the darkness. I looked down at the letter. I was not ready. But I had to know. So, I unfolded the page. I unfolded the page slowly. My fingers trembled, though I was not sure if it was from fear, guilt, or something deeper. Regret, perhaps. The letter was dated nearly 5 years ago. The day she left.
Michael.
If you are reading this, I could not face you. Not because I stopped loving you, but because I loved our son more. And I knew what was coming. My knees gave out. I sat on the edge of Adam's bed, trying not to wake him. Eliza stood near the window, silent, giving me space. I continued reading. The doctors said my condition was worsening.
Stage 4.
I refused treatment because I could not carry both burdens. My life and his.
I chose him. My breath caught. Her condition?
She never told me she was ill. I asked Eliza to come. She was my childhood friend.
My soul sister.
I knew she would protect him the way I no longer could. I told her not to tell you until the time was right. I am sorry. I just wanted you both to heal in peace. The final words pierced something in me. Forgive me.
And if you can,
look again at the woman who stayed when I left. She may be the answer to your pain. Tears blurred the ink. I pressed the letter against my chest, as if holding it tighter could somehow bring her back.
I turned toward Eliza. She looked down, hands folded, still silent. You knew all along? I asked. My voice cracked. She nodded. I did.
But I also knew it was not my story to tell. The silence between us stretched.
Not empty. Heavy. Meaningful.
Outside, the night had turned darker.
But inside, the room felt warmer. I looked at Adam, sleeping peacefully, a small smile on his lips. And I saw it.
Not just his mother in his eyes, but her legacy in Eliza's heart.
I stood up,
walked over to the window,
stared into the night. All the power I had,
the money, the properties, the influence. None of it had prepared me for this moment.
But maybe
it was time to stop controlling everything.
I turned to Eliza.
She met my gaze. And for the first time since my wife left, I felt something unfamiliar.
Hope.
Eliza, I said softly. I do not know what to do with this, with all of this.
She stepped forward, her voice gentle.
Start by forgiving her. Then forgive yourself.
Then maybe.
Let someone stay, for real this time.
She reached into her pocket, pulled out a small journal.
I wrote this, during the nights I sat with him. It is not much, but it is everything I saw, felt, and prayed for. She placed it in my hand. And just as I opened the first page, I opened the first page of Eliza's journal. Her handwriting was simple. No flourishes. Just raw, quiet honesty.
Day 1. He did not speak.
Just stared at me with those wide, cautious eyes. I could feel the weight of his silence. It broke my heart. So I hummed an old lullaby. One his mother and I used to sing under the stars. I flipped to another page.
Day 13. He laughed today. Only for a moment.
It sounded like music. I almost cried. Page after page. I read about moments I had missed. Or worse, moments I was too distracted to notice. She had seen everything. The quiet victories. The terrible setbacks. The tears Adam shed when no one was watching.
And all the while, she had stayed. I closed the journal.
Held it like something sacred.
Eliza, I whispered.
Why did you never tell me you were suffering too? She gave me a small smile. The world already sees you as strong. I did not want to add more weight to your shoulders. I just wanted to help carry what you were already holding. I turned away. Her words struck harder than any boardroom betrayal. Because they came without judgment. Without ego.
Just quiet love.
The kind that does not need recognition.
The kind that heals.
Do you regret it?
I asked.
All these years in the shadows? Caring for a child who is not yours? Sacrificing your life for someone else's choice?
She stepped forward. Not hesitant. Not ashamed. No, she said.
I may not be his mother by blood. But love has never needed permission.
And Adam.
He saved me too.
I swallowed hard.
Everything inside me ached.
She reached out.
Touched my arm gently. Michael, she said softly. Your heart has been running from pain for too long. Let it walk now.
Let it feel. Let it trust. I looked at her. Really looked. Not as an employee. Not as a hired hand.
But as the woman who chose to love my son when the world had turned away. As the woman who had stitched together the holes in my broken family.
One quiet night at a time.
A knock at the door startled us.
It was the night nurse.
I am sorry to interrupt, she said. But Adam is asking for Eliza.
She turned to me, uncertain. But I nodded. Go to him, I said. She smiled.
And disappeared into his room. I stood in the hallway.
The letter in my hand.
The journal clutched to my chest. And for the first time in years, I allowed myself to weep.
Not for loss.
But for what I had almost missed. Through the crack in the door, I saw Adam reach out his tiny hand. Eliza took it gently, sat beside him,
and began to hum.
The same lullaby from the journal. The same one his mother once sang. And I realized, sometimes, family is not about blood. It is about who shows up.
And stays.
But I still did not know the whole story. Why had my wife really left? What else had she told Eliza?
And why did I sense
that the truth was only just beginning to surface? The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Sleep had touched me lightly, but my thoughts never truly rested.
The letter. The journal.
Eliza's voice singing softly in the dark. It all circled in my mind, like the hands of a clock refusing to move forward. I stepped into Adam's room quietly. He was still asleep, his little chest rising with steady breaths.
And there she was. Eliza.
Sitting in the same chair, eyes closed, her hand still resting on his.
I did not speak, just watched.
The peace in the room felt sacred. I almost feared to break it.
But she sensed me.
Opened her eyes slowly, offered a small, tired smile.
He had a good night, she said.
He asked about you in his sleep. I pulled the other chair beside her.
Sat down.
Eliza, I said. There is more, is there not?
She hesitated, then nodded. Yes.
But I needed you to read the letter first.
To feel it.
Not just hear it. I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out the journal again, set it between us. Tell me everything, I said.
No more half-truths. No more protection.
I need to know who my wife really was, and what she was carrying that I never saw.
Eliza sighed, her voice quiet, measured. Before you met her.
She had already been diagnosed.
My heart clenched.
She knew, even before we married? She did, Eliza said gently. But she was in remission. The doctors gave her hope.
And you?
You gave her a dream she never thought she could live. I stared at the floor. Why did she not tell me? Because you were building an empire, Eliza whispered. You were chasing a future for all of you. She did not want to be the reason you slowed down. She was the reason I was running in the first place, I murmured. And I would have given it all up, if she had just told me. Eliza nodded slowly. She knew that. That is exactly why she never did. I pressed my hands against my face. Years of buried grief. Guilt. Anger. All rising like a tide, I had no strength to hold back anymore. I lost her without ever knowing I was losing her, I said. Every day she smiled at me. She was saying goodbye. Eliza touched my arm again. Firm. Grounding. She wanted you to live. Not carry a grave. I looked at her. At the eyes that had watched over my son. At the hands that had carried my burden in silence. And something shifted. A soft unlocking in my chest. Eliza, I began. But she stood suddenly. There is one more thing, she said. I waited until you were ready. She walked to her room down the hall. Returned with a small wooden box. This, she said, was meant for you after her funeral. She placed it in my hands. But you never came,
she added softly. You sent flowers.
A generous donation to the hospital. But not yourself. Shame flooded through me. I remembered. I had buried myself in work.
In avoidance.
Because I thought she had walked away from me.
When in truth,
she had died carrying me.
I opened the box. Inside, another letter. A flash drive.
And a silver bracelet I had gifted her on our first anniversary.
The letter was sealed. But this time, I was ready.
I broke the wax. And just as I began to read, the letter trembled in my hands as I opened it.
Her handwriting. Familiar. Delicate. Still so alive.
My dearest Michael, if you are reading this, then I am gone.
But please know.
I never left you.
Not truly. Not for a second.
I was always there.
In every heartbeat of our son.
In every corner of the home we built.
My throat tightened.
Tears blurred the ink.
But I kept reading. I know you felt abandoned.
And I am sorry. That was never what I intended. I wanted to stay. God knows I wanted more time. But I was sick.
And I saw how hard you worked.
How much pressure you carried. I could not bear to watch your light dim because of my shadow.
I clutched the paper tighter.
So I chose to leave before you had to watch me wither.
Selfish? Maybe.
But it was the only way I knew how to love you without burdening you.
Eliza.
She is my last prayer answered. She loved me like a sister. And she loves Adam with a kind of quiet ferocity most people cannot even understand.
Trust her.
She will never replace me. But she can help you remember how to live.
Do not run anymore, Michael.
You have outrun pain long enough. Let it catch you now. Let it teach you. Let it break and remake you. And if one day you find it in your heart to love again, let it be with someone who stayed when I could not.
You deserve joy. Real joy.
The kind that does not ask you to choose between success and family. The kind that lets you have both.
And our son.
Please tell him I loved him more than my own life. Always. Grace. I closed the letter, pressed it against my lips, and wept. But this time, it was not the weeping of grief alone. It was the release of years of confusion, of blame, of pain I had never dared to name. I sat for a long time, holding the bracelet, feeling the weight of everything I had tried to bury.
Then slowly, I stood,
walked to Adam's room. He was awake now, tiny arms wrapped around Eliza's neck, laughing softly as she tickled his feet. She looked up when she saw me. Something passed between us. Something unspoken. I walked to them, knelt beside his bed. Hey, buddy, I said, my voice hoarse. I want to tell you something. Something about your mom. Adam tilted his head. His eyes, so much like hers, wide with curiosity. But just as I opened my mouth, Eliza placed her hand on mine. Maybe not yet, she whispered. Let him hold on to peace a little longer. I nodded slowly. She was right. There would be time. Time to tell him everything. Time to rebuild. For now, we were here. Together. Healing. But a thought still gnawed at the edges of my mind. The flash drive. What was on it? What else had Grace left behind? Why did she entrust Eliza? Not just with Adam's care, but with the final pieces of our story? I excused myself, returned to my study, plugged the flash drive into my laptop, and as the screen lit up, a single video file appeared, titled, "To My Boys." I clicked play, heart pounding, palms sweating, and Grace's face appeared, smiling, pale, but radiant. And just as her lips began to move, the video played. And for the first time in years, I saw her move, smile, speak. Grace, the love of my life, the mother of my child, the woman I thought had walked away, when in truth, she was walking toward her own quiet end, to protect the life we had built. Her eyes were tired, but her spirit, unshakable. Michael, she said, if you're watching this, I am no longer beside you. But I promise, I never really left. I'm in the way Adam laughs, in the way Eliza shows up even when it's hard, and in every choice you now make with love at the center. She paused, touched her heart. I watched you grow from nothing into everything. But somewhere along the way, I saw you lose yourself in the noise, in ambition, in survival. So I left you with someone who could guide you back to silence,
To love. To peace. Her voice cracked.
Eliza is not your replacement for me. She is your reminder of what still exists.
Loyalty. Patience. Gentle strength. She reached out, as if through the screen. Love again, Michael.
Not because you are broken,
But because you have healed.
and when Adam is old enough, tell him that his mother did not leave. She simply made room for someone else to keep loving him when she no longer could. The video faded to black. I sat there in silence. A silence that did not ache anymore. A silence that wrapped itself around me like warmth. I walked back into Adam's room. He and Eliza were laughing over a book. And when I entered, he ran into my arms.
With full trust. Full joy.
I looked at Eliza.
She smiled.
And for the first time, I smiled back.
Without guilt. Without shame.
Without the weight of yesterday. We did not replace Grace.
We honored her.
By continuing.
By healing.
By choosing love again.
Moral lesson.
No amount of success can replace the healing power of love. Family is not always who shares your blood. Sometimes, it is who stays when everyone else leaves. True strength is not in building empires, but in being brave enough to rebuild your heart. And the most powerful act of love is letting go of the past, to embrace the future with open arms. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it touched your soul, please like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. You are never alone.